Hello. Hello. Feel free to join me in the Minneapolis room in the what is this? Twin Cities Gamedev uh, Discord, if you so desire. I can't remember if we have like an events. We have an events chat room, but I don't know if we have an events audio chat room. We have a green room and we have a stage, but I don't think either of those are like just general chat. Someone has joined us.
I joined.
Hey, Bradley? Do you prefer Bradley or Brad?
Bradley, if I can get it. Oh no, all these things are. I've been mute things.
You're gonna have to like mute me,
Uh,
or wear some headphones. Put some headphones on.
yeah, I don't have headphones, so hopefully this is okay. Not that I don't have the Twitch um, going too.
Yeah, it sounds okay. Hello, Mr. Gaff.
Hello, Mr. Gaff.
Yo.
Uh-oh, Mr. Gaff also has his audio on, or is watching the Twitch stream. Perhaps. So, as the schedule says, we won't really get started until about 6:45, but this is the the intro, the beginning, the talk amongst yourselves time. If I remember, I will actually stop the stream and then restart it right then. There might be a better way to do this, but that will allow me to save the just that part of the evening to YouTube, because we sure don't need this part. There's a whole lot of videos with this part on it.
Hey, I like this part.
Oh yeah? Okay, well,
Can you hear me okay now? Okay.
I can. You sound great.
Well, pretty much so the sort of thing to do is, I also don't have headphones at the second, but is to just mute the Twitch output
Yeah.
with that interesting delay.
Sure. Do you like my addition to the schedule this
Ooh,
month
ooh.
on the
Talk
screen?
about yourselves? Oh, amongst yourselves?
No, above that.
Oh, is it Mario's birthday or something?
It's March 10th, which if you abbreviate March MAR, looks like Mario.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in fact, I could make that explicit in the slide, but I didn't. A lot of people call today Mario Day
Oh,
for
okay.
that reason. Maybe a lot of people includes Nintendo. I'm not really sure who started that. Hello, NPC Twitch. So what have you been playing, Scott?
You talking to me?
Sure. Playing
Oh
Ambience?
gosh, I haven't been playing much at all.
What about you,
I did
Grubby?
actually play something the other day though.
Oh yeah, what was it?
Oh, I can't remember what it was now. I've been playing with that VR puzzle,
Oh
that
yeah,
group that
yeah, yeah.
whose name I can never remember, which I'm being a bad. I suppose I could just go look over at my Discord page here, where I have two different puzzling places is the name of the company, I guess. That's been fun, but yeah, I got suckered into something. Yeah, I don't know. When I was a young man, like when my daughter was in college, um, I used to go play games once a week at a friend's house.
Like board games?
Yeah. Oh, the game I haven't been playing that I'm supposed to be playing. Oh God, I am bad. I'm retired. I should have enough time to do anything now. Um, is your game? I haven't been playing
Thrive.
Thrive. I don't think I've done well on iOS. I haven't been beta testing Thrive.
Oh, you're slacking.
What little I've played with it, I haven't come up with anything earth shattering that I needed to mention. But and literally I'm staring at my box of Thrive, in that I literally have no one to play with. Maybe when I get vaccinated, I can reach out and play with someone. But
I went into a. Do you know what an FLGS is?
no,
Your friendly local game store.
no way.
Yeah, that's what they call them. So like any game store, any.
Which one did you go in?
So I went into Level Up Games today, which is like 4 blocks from my house. But we actually get comics there, so we have a pull list and we, you know, visit once every couple weeks. But normally, and during this time, we call ahead and then they will just set them outside. But today was raining and I figured, what's it gonna hurt to go in for like a minute? Uh, hadn't, so I went in and saw Thrive on the shelf. It's kind of
Oh, that's
exciting.
just so cool.
Yeah, it was the first time I'd seen it in an actual store. It was cool.
That's it's like when I saw my first TV commercial on the air. But yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah,
Thanks.
congratulations.
Yeah, that was a fun moment. I actually like I feel kind of dumb because I brought it up like, uh, oh, I looked on your website and I didn't see the game because I mean I know this guy. I see him all well in the old times, in the before times I would see him all the time, but so I mentioned that I wasn't sure if they had my game, and he was like, "Oh no, we definitely do. It's right over here."
So I remember we used to do direct to video animations, kids stuff, and I remember going to the store with like three-quarter, like with 8 people, 2 cars worth of people to buy. We wouldn't get free copies. That's welcome
Yep.
to animation.
Yep.
And so we'd all go buy a copy, and it would be these 8 scruffy people walk in to some store, and the salespeople kind of look us up and down, and then we make a beeline for the back where the videos are, and buy these videos, and they sort of, can I help you? It
What
was
was
like, no,
the?
no, this is what we want. We made this.
That's great.
So yeah, isn't that great? But I bet you didn't buy one.
I didn't buy one. I have a few free copies still.
Well,
I've only given I think one or two away.
the punishment for the people who didn't used to give us a free copy was that when the first generation of that group went goodbye. They had a small office that they turned into a warehouse because they'd been trying to sort of distribute it themselves. And it was totally full. And I'm sure that wound up in a dumpster. They lost they lost thousands of dollars on the fact that they printed way too many and thought they were going to be able to sell them. And so it was pretty, well, I suppose it isn't funny, but.
It's not funny at all.
Yeah, it's
Well, the guy who, like I said, I know, he started asking me questions about, oh, well, do you know how many you printed? Like, he wanted to know kind of that stuff too, like how, what does it cost? Like, how many do you have in stock? Like that kind of part of the business. And I told him I don't know. I knew a few answers for him, but I don't know most of that stuff. Like, it's all Adam's Apple Games. So
what's the name of that? What's the name of that? The store you went in again?
Level Up Games.
Oh,
So
great! Well,
it's a small chain. It wasn't Level Up before. When we started going there, it was called Mead Hall. And it's
what was it called before? Say it again.
Mead Hall. Like
Okay.
Mead like the drink. So kind of a Viking type name I think of anyway when I hear it. But they were bought by Level Up. So I think Level Up has like 3 or 4 locations maybe.
So are you old enough to know about the Amazon bookstore?
Yeah, I know about Amazon.
Yeah.
And the original Amazon, you mean,
The
before
original Amazon that's
yeah.
a few blocks from where you live. Was a few blocks from where you live. Yeah, that was man, when that happened, nobody knew. Oh, isn't this interesting? Some, pretentious, e-group has bought this fixture in the Twin Cities. I used to hang out with people. I knew people who moved here to do like animation and stuff, who now are like vice presidents in multinational animation companies that moved here partially because of the per capita number of books that people in Minnesota read. It's like, well, I want to go someplace where people read a lot of books. It's like, if I'm picking a place to live, that's one of the criteria I'm going to pick. And there used to be just wonderful, bookstores. Hey, bookstores don't exist anymore. Which is just kind of sad.
There are a few. I mean, we do have some nice local bookstores still.
There used to be a lot more, Marty.
There definitely used to be a lot more. And they were bigger too.
I lived walking distance from one of the best ones, and it's been gone for a long time. So
which one?
Oh, I can't even remember what it's called. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute just for a second. How do I mute? Okay, go. Oh, gotta go to Discord. Oh yeah, because I used to go there with these guys who moved here, and yeah.
35W and 98th. I'm trying to think, like a board game store or a bookstore. There's so many little board game shops, like shops that sell games. I feel like they pop up all the time, although maybe a bunch of them have closed now. Video store. Yeah, I was talking to somebody. I have a friend, Jeremy, who apparently worked at Schindler's on Hennepin, and I remember that place just being like only like the coolest people work there.
Oh well, Schindler's is where you bought pornography when I was a kid. But the Hungry Mind was on Grand.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Oh man, the Hungry Mind was so it was like something. It was a bookstore out of a movie. It was so cool. It was big and had odd people running it, and had a neat little restaurant and called Redfish, Bluefish, and and that kind of stuff's just gone now.
I forgot.
There's a little tiny independent bookstore down at the end of my block. At Cleveland and Randolph that I've been in twice. It's fairly new, and then COVID hit, and so it's I haven't really done much there, but yeah. So does your daughter love reading, or is she too busy playing video games?
Yeah, she likes reading. She actually probably, I would say she reads a lot more than she plays games. And she won't play board games with me anyway, lately. Like I have to twist their arm. Um, but I mean, it's hard to say how much exactly they're still playing video games. Like they have an iPad that they are,
Yeah.
they have
So,
pretty much access to whenever. So
the hard question is, how much do you read nowadays? And did you used to?
I've been reading a lot lately.
That's good.
Yeah, I actually have you heard of the Murderbot Diaries?
No, I got to get out my notebook.
Highly recommended this series called the Murderbot Diaries by, I think it's either Martha or Margaret Wells is the last name, Wells, Wells. And yeah, the Murderbot Diaries are they're mostly they're short novels, so like novelettes, I guess, maybe technically. But there's probably 4 or 5 of them, and then the author finally released like a decently long novel, like an actual length novel, in the series, and I want to say it's like the 5th one or something, and that's the latest one that came out. Anyway, we blew through those like as they were coming out. Love them, they're so good. And I only found out like maybe last month that the author also has like a couple other series of books that are fantasy, and I'm less into fantasy. I like the sci-fi, but I started reading one, and I'm on the 5th one right now, and it was hard to put it down to come
do all this. 3 of you read when you get a book like that? Do all 3 of you read it?
Like this one, I don't know. Actually, this is a great candidate. Actually, I should try and get Coco to read this one, because I think they do. Like the overlap is, if it's a little bit more young adult-ish, then I'll get them to read it. They're reading way above their level. I mean, they're only 11, or they're going to be 11 this weekend.
Remind me how old she is again. 11. Okay.
Yeah, 11.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so there have been quite a few books that we've all read, but not more than like 20 probably.
We've talked about this before. Your daughter sort of is in between my 2 grandchildren, and Ella, my 10-year-old granddaughter is in an informal pod, studying from home, and we sit and have her read to us twice a week, which is just kind of cool. And then the other one is in 7th grade and is about the age to be in 8th grade. He's like, his birthday is in October, and he has now become a tween or whatever he is. He doesn't. I don't talk to him that much anymore. And I got him on the phone the other day, and what we wound up finding to talk about was the books he's reading and the sci-fi that he's read and stuff. And had a real the reason I talked to him about it was this: we play Hangman with his sister as part of the reading stuff, and she picked a 4-letter word and it was like, oh god, 4-letter words suck in Hangman, and it was Dune, because a copy of Dune was sitting there, waiting to go back to the library or whatever, because her brother had read it, so when I was talking to him, I said, well, what did you think of Dune? And he goes, yeah, boy, the sexism's kind of a drag. This is coming from a 13-year-old. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
And I was like, and I read it when I was maybe 16 or something, and I'm going, yeah. It never occurred to me.
I've read Dune too.
What did you think? Did the sexism just sort of knock you in the head?
I guess it's been a while since I read it. I mean, there wasn't a lot of female characters that did stuff, though. Although I think Paul's mom was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I was thinking too. But also, she was sort of, conformed to her, sort of what she was supposed to do, I guess. But I thought Yeah, I always sort of thought that too. I thank you very much for having a woman's perspective on that. So, my wife sort of
It's
pretty
been a
much hates
while.
any book that's written by a man. But so she's always like, "Oh God, or just his women are just suck. I mean, they're just terrible." She reads a lot of murder mystery, and she will not read a murder mystery written by a man anymore because they just don't understand how to write a woman. So. Oh wow, yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Well, books are neat. Yeah, I was so glad to find out he's reading stuff like that. And and I said, "Well, have you read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?" Oh yeah, I read that a long time ago. I read all of them. I remember his mother, reading all those when she was his age, and
I tried to get Coco to read Hitchhiker's Guide, and I had no success. They were not interested.
Maybe wait a little bit because
maybe
the what do you call it? The sort of iconoclast, how snide they are is sort of more fun when you're a snide young person yourself.
Yep.
Did you ever play the video game? What do you call them? This is where
text adventure, Infocom.
Say that again.
The text adventure from Infocom.
Yes, I'm not allowed. I shouldn't be allowed to talk at these things because I can't remember any of the. I'm not really a game person,
I thought you were asking if I'd played Dune, the video game.
Oh no! I meant the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It was on the original Mac, and it was,
Oh yeah.
Pick up the Babel fish, that kind of stuff, and it was so funny.
It's a classic.
When there weren't any video games, there wasn't anything fun to play on computers and stuff back then. So he was a real Mac head. He was a real Apple head.
I remember playing. I played. What was his other series that was about?
The detective.
Yeah,
it was the one that was about a ship that was like it was like a cruise ship in space. Do you remember that?
Starship Titanic.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it was like Starship Titanic, I think it was called, and it was a graphical one. So I don't know if it was using like the Infocom engine, but it was a similar. You could enter real words and stuff if I remember right, but it had visuals for every scene, and it was that old style computer graphics where it was like really just low polys rendered poorly.
What was it called again?
Starship Titanic, if I remember right. Let me just make sure. But there were a bunch of text adventures that were all based on different things he'd done.
And he didn't do them all, right? He died very young or a long time ago.
He had a hand in a lot of them, though.
Right, he did.
The text adventures, for sure.
Yeah, but I might have been late to coming to the text adventure because I remember not all that long, I thought, after I had played that one and heard about maybe another one or two that I found out he was dead. But we didn't have the internet back then, so or much of an internet back then.
Yeah.
It was all.
He actually talks about making Starship Titanic. The last interview he gives is him talking about Starship Titanic, and then he dies a couple days after the interview.
Oh man, that's so sad.
Yeah, I read that. That's in the the Salmon of Doubt, which is the unfinished thing that was unfinished, plus a bunch of interviews and stuff and random things, random collection of things.
I have that floating around somewhere too. It's pretty good, if I remember right. For a while, little tiny fact about me, I was an English major and wanted to write science fiction, and I had a collection of books on sci-fi or writers talking about their writing, and I think I let go of it. I mean, that was 20 years ago. So I definitely had that one, and I had well, I had a bunch of them. I had probably 10 or 20 books in that
That you
vein
wrote?
that I read.
Oh,
I had a small collection of those style of like, sci-fi authors talking about their own writing process or
oh, right.
about the stuff that they, their experiences.
So I can't remember his name. Are you familiar with the guy that wrote Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance?
Yeah, Tom Robbins.
No, not Tom Robbins. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what his name is. He's a local guy. He's a Minnesota guy. And he's got a great story about how he sort of made a living. I think it's in Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, about made a living doing technical writing.
Robert.
And lying about his technical background to become to get a job where he could make money. What did you say, Marty? Did you look up his name?
Yeah, Robert Pirsig.
Robert Pirsig.
It's so funny because that was one that like all my high school, friends read, and it was at the same time that everybody was into Tom Robbins. I think I just assumed it was the same guy.
Yeah, well, he had a neat way of writing, sort of. I remember when I read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, I think I might have been in college. It's like in 3 pieces, sort of. There's like a beginning, a huge middle, and an end. And I got stuck in the middle of the middle and didn't finish it literally like for 2 years. I kept reading a chapter or reading 2 pages and putting it down and not reading it for a while. But yeah, the good old days. Well, thanks for reminding me.
I was going to say that I have now a collection of books that are similar to that other collection, except they're all about like video game designers talking about their careers. And I don't have nearly as many, I don't think. But the Doom one, the Masters of Doom, is really good. I think I borrowed that one from you, Scott. Is that true?
Me?
Yeah, Lemke. Yeah, the other Scott. Other Scott.
So if either one of you ever read The Birth of a New Machine, which is again
familiar.
Predates you guys a lot.
That was Tracy Kidder. And it's about the early, the creation of the ENIAC, which was like an early computer, like a very,
I'm thinking of a different person. I'm thinking about a different book. This one was about the Vax era. And it was, I can't even remember the name of the company that like appeared and then disappeared right away. About making a machine for them. Oh, what was that guy's name? Boy, that name you just said sounded familiar.
Did you say it was Birth of a New Machine or Soul of a New Machine?
Maybe it's Soul of a New Machine.
Soul of a New Machine, Tracy Kidder. And it was about... So I read that actually in college for a history of science class. It was really cool. It was actually like a history of computer science class.
The Data General. It wasn't about the ENIAC. It was about the Data General Eclipse.
Okay.
And you're only off by like 50 years or something, Marty. It's more like
ancient machines.
It's really only like 35 years. So yeah,
that's funny.
But yeah, Soul of the New Machine I found just as an engineer that very, I was still in engineering school maybe when it came out. And I found it very, stupidly, I was still in engineering school. I should have been out by then. I was in college for 10 years. I found it very inspirational in an odd sort of way. He wrote an interesting book about building a house too, but it was
that's a great. I do recommend that book still sometimes when I'm talking to people who want to read about early tech stuff.
Early tech stuff and sort of what it means to be an engineer. And there's a part of that book where the sort of star of the book goes in and is allowed into a room that has a Vax in it that some friend of his works at a company that has, and he secretly sort of lets him in there, and they turn it off and he takes it apart. And, for like an hour, looks at how they did shit. And then, thanks his friend and leaves. back when mini computers or whatever used to cost, $100,000 or whatever. But oh man,
Yeah, there's some really.
you're making me feel young again, guys.
It's a great. That's a good one because it's also so readable, which actually is also true of that Masters of Doom. It reads like a page turner.
Yeah, that one was surprisingly interesting. Like, I've never been into Doom. Like, I never actually played it before, but that book was super interesting.
I mean, you've played it now, right?
I played the new one. I don't know.
So the most interesting book.
I was gonna say it's probably been written in a shader.
Yes, it has actually.
The most interesting book I read about sort of the old days, because it wound up overlapping with me, was Me, Myself, and Bob, which I don't necessarily recommend to any of you people. It's about the guy that started VeggieTales, the Christian animation.
Phil Vischer.
And he's vague. He has a Minnesota connection. He's actually has an Iowa connection, and he was based out of Chicago for a while. Very, very interesting. The very, very start of Maya, which is interesting in that I predate Maya. I knew the guys who made the software, the software before Maya existed, who actually made Maya. And it's so interesting, the sort of how and again, he's doing this thing that I did for 30 years, is make animations. And how he fit his animations to the technology that existed and that kind of stuff. But if you're at all allergic to somebody talking about, how God made him do what he did, you might not want to read it. He was on a mission for God.
Here's another local connection. Did anyone watch that drone video of the Bryant Lake Bowl?
No.
Drone video?
Yeah, it went super viral, and it's like there's like a camera operator, so it's a drone with like some kind of HD camera on it, and it's obviously scripted. They fly it into the Bryant Lake Bowl and around the pins and stuff, and back up into the back behind the pins, and then back out, and there's a couple having a conversation that it zooms past, and then it's super good, well done, and it blew up on Twitter and everything else. You can pretty easily find it. I want to say Tim Gunn retweeted it and said it was cool or something. I'll post a link in the chat.
Interesting.
I wondered.
I got to remember how to chat in Discord.
Well, I'll post it in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, it's still good for me to.
Well, then I gotta post it both places,
Can you hear me?
I guess. Oh,
you're very quiet.
Okay. Try to move closer to the mic. Does that help?
A little
bit.
Okay. Sorry, I have to figure out my volume. Sorry about that, guys. Please continue. I kept commenting on stuff, and I'm like, oh, you know what? They really cannot hear me.
No one can hear you.
Can hear you now.
Right.
Here's
the Bryant Lake Bowl. That was great.
Yes. Yeah, it was. So there, I posted it a couple places.
So you have seen it.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah,
I have.
I've actually watched it a couple times now. Did you say you had or hadn't seen it, Scott?
I have not seen it. Oh, did Scott Lemke say he saw it?
I have not. I'm seeing it right now.
I see. I don't see, but I hear. Yeah, I thought Scott would appreciate it because it's a drone thing. Well,
they did a good job adding sound over the top of it.
I've heard people critique the sound. Actually,
yeah, don't land your drone in the machines there.
That might be my favorite part, where it zooms up behind the machines.
Yeah, I bet this was a Cinewolf.
I don't know what. You
maybe a 6-inch sized drone.
Okay. There's some behind the scenes stuff that I haven't watched yet. You can find footage of the guy flying the drone. And like I said, I think it was Tim Gunn like retweeted it and said something like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to hire this guy," or something like that.
Okay, who's Tim Gunn? I'm sorry.
He's he. Gosh, who
That
is
was
he?
interesting.
He's like, I think he was in like that. There's a fashion reality TV show that he's like the guy from, what is it called? I don't even know.
Where'd you put the Bryant Lake Bowl link this time?
I put it in both the Twitch chat and also in the events chat in Discord. So the event.
Right,
Oh,
thank
so okay, so that's the part I get always confused about in Discord when we're doing this is that okay, I had the events chat open already, but we're actually talking in the Minneapolis room because that's a
Yep.
voice line. Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
The voice don't have like associated like text chat with them, so
Right. And that's every time, like after one of these meetings, I'm like, where are you putting these things?
Where are we going? What's happening?
And then it turns out I have, the event chat for the Puzzle Places thing up. And of course it's not in there, but I mean the chat room for them. But yeah, man. It's the main sign I'm getting old is I just can't keep up on Discord. Scott Lemke.
Well, just before we get really rolling, which I'm going to do any minute here,
Right.
I wanted to quick just talk to our speakers who are both in this room, so I'm just going to talk in here. Why not? Just to say that it's mostly for you, Eleanor, who I don't know how often you've watched this or anything, but I'll do the intro slides and then you'll be up after that. So it'll probably be around 7 is my guess, maybe 15 minutes or so.
Sounds good.
And at that time, I will just chat directly with you on Discord, and then you can share your screen, and I'll share it out to Twitch. Does that make sense?
It sounds good. Yep.
Perfect. And then Matt is our other speaker. He's also in chat, but he hasn't unmuted himself, but he just did.
Do I need to unmute myself?
No, you didn't. You didn't have to, but I'm glad you did.
Okay, going back to mute.
So Eleanor, did we talk about this last week that you've got like the best microphone anybody's ever had on a Zoom or a chat?
What?
It's got like the clearest signal I ever hear, but anyway.
Oh, I don't know. I've only been here a few times.
Okay, I'm gonna get started. So I'm gonna leave this Minneapolis room. Obviously, you're all welcome to stay in there as you desire. So this is the IGDA Twin Cities chapter. Welcome if you haven't been before, or if you have. Also welcome. Everyone's welcome all the time. This is March 10th, otherwise known as Mario Day. So there's a cute little we're probably breaking some kind of copyright law having this on there, but I thought I would put that on there today. Custom trollers. Yeah, I'm just checking out the chat. You're obviously people are chatting in Twitch as well. This is great. So, welcome everyone. Our meetings are open to everyone. We aim to be a safe and inclusive community. So you can read our code of conduct on our website. We used to meet in person at the Nerdery, and maybe someday again we will. It does seem like maybe that's, becoming more and more imminent. But it's still not like next month, I don't think. And probably not for a few months after that either. Yeah, but so we definitely want everyone to be supportive and good to each other, be nice to each other. I guess that's the point of this slide, and also welcoming new folks. This is generally who runs this shindig. I'm the one you want to talk to if you want to speak. If you're interested in talking about anything, we would love to have you. We are looking for speakers even as early as next month, because I've been slacking lately. Yeah, so these are the folks that help out and are on our board. Here's the general calendar. Usually we have 3 meetings a month. This meeting is our kind of our main game dev meeting, just about kind of all topics game related, making game related specifically. And then we have a playtest event that is on the third Wednesday, and that is hosted. You know what? We should really have like who hosts these meetings on here. I don't know. That's one idea. I'll talk a little bit more about this in a few minutes. And then we have our VR and HCI meeting on the fourth Wednesday, typically, and that one traditionally has moved around a little bit more than this one, but lately it's been pretty steady in alt space instead of on Twitch, or also on Twitch, but mostly in alt space, where we can kind of like see each other and pretend we're in virtual reality, or we're in virtual reality pretending we're around each other, or hubs. Sometimes we've also been in hubs. Last month was in hubs. This next one will just be a kind of a grab bag of a bunch of different topics around working in VR. Yeah, I have a little bit more details than that, but I didn't put them anywhere, so you're just gonna have to come to the meeting. Sorry. I have this slide in here because this is what it looks like now that we're in alt space. Although I guess it didn't look like this last month because we were in hubs. A little bit more about the Twin Cities playtest. It's every third Wednesday, as I said. You can participate in 3 ways. As an attendee, you just join and watch on Twitch. You can chat if you want. It's great. As a playtester, you can actually like contact us in advance and or during the event even and play some of the games. You don't even have to download anything except Parsec and Discord. Or as a developer, if you've got a game that you want some playtesting on, I should be better about this, then you can give it to Peter or Mark. Peter or Mark, or I believe Lane, are generally who is running this thing, and they will be the ones to let you know how you can slot into the event and get your game playtested on the stream. I replaced this slide photo, the photo of our website. So finally, it's only been like 6 months, maybe longer, that we've had a new website. Now this slide actually matches the new website, which makes it look almost like there isn't a screenshot because our website is white and looks a lot like the slides. But this is a screenshot of the new website. And so you can find a connect with us button on the website, and that's how you can find us on Twitter, or you can join the Slack or the Discord or any of the other ways, the myriad of ways that you can connect up with other game developers in the Twin Cities. And I recommend it if you are making games. It's a fun thing to do. Again, we're always looking for presenters, and specifically next month we are looking for a main speaker. So if you have a topic you'd like to talk about, please let me know. We have speakers for the following month. So if too many people get back to me, then I'm going to have to schedule you out, which would not be a hardship, believe me. We are a chapter of an official organization. We're not very official. The International Game Developers Association. And so I like to mention it at least here. You can become a paying member of the International Game Developers Association, and that gives you some benefits. You can read about them at igda.org. And if you become a member, you should tell them that we're your chapter, because they like that and we like that. Everyone likes it. It's all good. I do not know if this new chapter feedback survey is still active. It was a couple months ago, and I can't even remember if I checked that last month. Might not be a thing anymore. But you're all just watching this on Twitch anyway, so you can't click that button. You can see these slides at any time at tinyurl.com/igdtc-slides. I said that fast because it's actually on all the slides, so you can type it in yourself from that URL that's right there. Smash the button. Portland's only 4 people. You guys have what's the big Portland indie group that I'm forgetting the name of? It's probably like much cooler than the IGDA in Portland. I mean, I don't know if it's cooler, but the Pig Squad, that's the one. Yeah. When Oh, it doesn't matter. I was going to tell a long story for no reason. Uh, so this slide is all about how we're on Twitch right now. I mean, great. We're, we will. This slide tells you that we'll be playing games after the meeting. I don't know if that's true. We'll probably be on Discord though, and you are also welcome to join on Discord and like hang out. And is it subtweeting if it's on Twitch? Is it subtwitching? I mean, Twitch has its own chat, so it's not really it's like a subtweet thing. I'm just an old. All right, enough about that. So anyway, yeah, we'd love to hear feedback if you have any feedback about this format and how this is going. I want to say no one has taken me up on this. I think literally this is a year. I think we've been streaming our meetings and not in person for a year now. I think that's true. I should have prepared some kind of anniversary happy birthday thing. Happy birthday to IGDATC on Twitch. Woo! Sad friendless year. No, we have all the online friends. All of them. If you have released any games since last meeting, or yeah, exactly, a year. It's still blowing my mind. If you have any new announcements, please post them in chat and let me know if you even want to talk about them, and you could maybe message me on Discord if you want, and we could do that. I could get you on the stream for a few minutes to talk about your thing if you'd like. We do have a couple of official plugs, and we'll do those first. But so the first one is anyone here who wants to talk about Nice Games Club? The only thing this said was that new episodes are back. So I think that means that Nice Games Club is back in action and is making new episodes again. I don't know. I don't have any additional details for you about that, but we could, just for fun, open. If I knew how to work a web browser, cause that's a thing that I can do. Nicegames.club, and we could see just how recent the episodes are. So there's one from the 3rd. That's pretty recent. Parts 1 and 2. It's a live jam episode. What? You guys made a game in a jam? That's super cool. I'm always jealous of the Nice Games Club because I used to have a podcast. Hey, it's the Donutron. Oh man, here's another thing that I miss about meeting in person is we used to also go to the donut shop on Fridays, and that's where this Donutron exists, is at the donut shop at Glamdall Donuts, and I haven't done that in a year either. The Nerdery did move. Who knows if we're going to meet at the Nerdery again? I hope so. Maybe. Am I still into appearing on podcasts? I've appeared on a few podcasts. I used to run a comic book podcast. Here's the thing, though. I don't listen to podcasts. So I've listened to the Nice Games Club podcast more than most. I've listened to it at least 5 times. But I don't really like podcasts. The main thing is that I don't like consuming media at its pace. I want to consume media at my pace. I want it to be interactive. It all has to be interactive. That's what I don't like about podcasts. So I occasionally listen when I can fast forward, or I can speed them up at least. But also I can't do it while I'm coding, so I mostly consume audio when I'm coding. The other thing that we wanted to plug is Newt Run Speedrunner, but I also don't know what to say about this. So I'm hoping that Dev is going to message me on Twitch, or on Discord, rather. But I don't see him on Discord. So I might just be making this one up too. This graphic is courtesy of Ari, who is the artist on Mike No Worky. Well, you can tell me what to say. I mean, you can chat at me. You can like type at me. I'll be talking. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, next month, the one speaker that I do have for next month is that Dev will be talking about Newt One, the Speedrunner edition, which is okay. Here's a question, Dev. Is it its own? Is it a separate release, or is this like a DLC kind of thing? That's the question that I have. But yeah, this art, Ari is just an amazing artist, and this is Ari's work. And Dev is the developer. Dev is also an amazing musician. Yes, that is an important fact about, and especially about Newt One. The soundtrack is amazing. Us saying goodbye. No, you're gonna release this and it'll be so popular that you'll have to keep supporting it for years and years. I mean, who knows? New EP coming out. That's amazing. I mean, plug away. Yeah, so that's all I can say about that, I guess. I don't have anything else to say about the Newt One speedrun, but I would just leave this up so that we can just look at it for an indefinite period of time. But I won't. I'll spare us all. Just staring at me, staring at this beautiful piece of art. I think what I like about it is that it really implies this like 3D space, but with just all these lines. Like I don't know, it's just like these lines. It's just so good. This I want to hang this on my wall, but maybe without the characters. I mean, I love the characters. The characters are great, but I feel like the background is like this. Okay, I'm just digging a hole now. Okay, done with this. All right, those are our plugs. So on to the presentation portion of the evening. I hit it spot on. It's exactly 7. So I'm gonna pull up Eleanore here, or chat with Eleanore, and everyone bear with me while I do that. Ooh, I wonder if you can hear my bleeping. I think you can.
Oh.
Hello. All right. So welcome to the show. Is it a show now? I don't know if this is. It's not meant to be a show. It's a it's a talk. Thank you for doing a talk. I'm thanking you before you even did anything. So yeah, you can share your screen,
Okie dokie.
and then I have to switch to like viewing that. So we're not quite ready yet.
Alright, tell me when you're ready and when you can see my screen.
I can see it, but the stream people, the stream people can't see it yet. So that is the wrong one. It's close, but I have to pick it. Sorry, just another brief moment.
No problem.
Oh, you know what? I promised that I was going to say this, and then I forgot. I also wanted to apologize because we sent out an email earlier this week, as you know, like last minute as humanly possible, inviting you all to come to this event, and there was some mix-up. It's at least partly my fault, and we did not have Eleanor on. And in fact, it says that Dev was going to be the speaker tonight, but that's next month, and we didn't send out a correction. but I wanted to publicly apologize for that snafu mix-up because that was not correct. We were incorrect. There we go. Okay, I finally have the stream up. So, the question is, can we make? I know there's a way to make the side people go away. Who knows how to do it though? I know there's a way. Oh, this is it. There we go. Got it. Okay, we are good. Oh wait, I think I have to. Yes, there we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it up to you. I'll let you do your own introduction. Thanks so much for being here.
All right. Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, my name is Eleanore Falck, and I am currently a junior at UW Stout, where I'm studying game design and development art and focusing on 3D environment art at the moment. But this talk is going to be about my internship at the Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission and the educational game I made there. And this game is called Growing Up Ojibwe, the game. It's about Ojibwe history and culture, and it's aimed at middle school students, but it's really meant for anyone as well. Anybody can play it. So, yeah, for starters, what is Glyphwick? Glyphwick is an organization that represents 11 Ojibwe tribes in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And these tribes have treaties with the United States government that grant them fishing and gathering rights. And so Glyphwick provides natural resources management expertise, conservation enforcement, legal and policy analysis, and public information services in the support of the exercise of treaty rights. So every summer they have several internships, and these are some pictures of me and the other interns in 2019 when we could actually go outside and do things together. So here we are braiding sweetgrass, learning how to harvest birch bark, making birch bark baskets, and then if you can see my mouse, this is me right here and some of the other interns on the Healing Circle run. So that was a lot of fun. And if I didn't state before, my internship there was with the Public Information Office, and my official title was Graphic Design Intern. And I did do some graphic design, I guess, but I mostly worked on making this game. So what is Growing Up Ojibwe, the game? Let's see. So for starters, when I started my internship, I didn't really know what I would be doing. And I talked with my supervisor, Dylan Jennings, and he was talking about how he wanted me to do something educational for the younger generation. He wanted a way, he wanted me to help connect with youth, and I thought that a video game would be a great idea for that, because I've observed as a semi-recent middle schooler, it's getting less and less recent, but I observed that kids love games, as a lot of you probably know as well. So that was one of the goals of this project, was to connect with the younger generation, and some of the things we wanted to teach were to give players a basic understanding of treaty rights, tribal sovereignty, and traditional harvesting, and we also wanted to include a little bit of Ojibwe language, traditional ecological knowledge. So that was the starting point of this project. And so, yeah, we went from there. And so we decided to base the game on a book that Glyphwick had already published. It's a children's book called Growing Up Ojibwe, which is right here. And now there's a second book too. And so to make this game, I started this internship after my freshman year at Stout. So I had done a little coding, but I was focusing on game art, and so I had to do a little bit of research before I started this game. And I eventually settled on using the game engine called Gdevelop, and Gdevelop is pretty user-friendly. It's meant for people like beginner game developers who don't know a specific coding language, and you don't need to know a coding language at all to use it. You just need to understand coding logic. So this is kind of what it looks like on the inside. So yeah, here is some images from the game. in this first level here, this is the tutorial level, you meet your grandmother. You're playing as either Annie or Tommy Sky, which are characters from Glyphwic's book Growing Up Ojibwe, and they're like exploring the northern Wisconsin area. And so in this tutorial level, you meet your grandmother, and she sends you on a mission to learn, but to also teach others. And she introduces you to the concept of how asema, or tobacco, is used in Ojibwe culture. One thing I forgot that I should have mentioned earlier is that I personally am not Ojibwe, but I am Oneida. I'm an Oneida descendant, and so some of the activities that I will be mentioning later in this game are things that I've done in real life, which that experience really helped me to make this game. So anyway, in this tutorial level, you're introduced to the concept of using tobacco in Ojibwe culture, and it's used to like show respect, offer thanks, or like ask something of someone. And so one way that I incorporated real life learning into the game mechanics in this game was by the motion controls in the game. Well, not motion controls, that's the wrong word. Mobile touch controls. So in real life, you are supposed to offer tobacco with your left hand because that hand is closest to your heart. So in the game, you use your left hand to hit the button to offer asema. So yeah. So then these are the two characters you can choose from. Initially, I released the first 3 levels in this game after the summer of 2019, the first summer that I had this internship, and then there was only 1 player character available at that time, but I returned to the internship during the summer of 2020, and we had gotten some feedback that people would like a female playable character, so we added Annie at that time. So here is the first level. I'm going to explain a little bit about how the basic game mechanics work. So you're exploring through the woods. It functions like a platformer, and you'll run into spirit helpers, knowledge holders, and when you meet them, you're able to offer them asema, and then they will give you a little tidbit of knowledge. And so the first level focuses on treaty rights, and then the second level focuses on tribal sovereignty. Also, during the first 2 levels, you're collecting firewood for the third level, when you can learn about making maple syrup, and you're like helping to make maple syrup. Another thing that's featured throughout all of the levels is a points meter, so you get points for interacting with spirit helpers and knowledge holders, and then also community members. So once you learn a little bit of information, you'll shortly thereafter run into a community member who will ask you like a true or false question, so you can like kind of repeat what you just learned so that it sticks in your head a little bit more. So then here's the third level, and in this level you learn about harvesting maple sap to make maple syrup. So you go throughout the level, you have to put on your snowshoes when you start the level, or else you sink into the snow. And then you have to look for maple trees, which are these trees. And you have to collect sap that is from trees that are already bagged, but then you also tap trees and add bags to them from here. Then this next level is about spearfishing. Now, spearfishing was a really important level, like an important topic to include in a level in this game because of the spearfishing controversy. Some of you might not know, but during the 80s and 90s in the northern Wisconsin area, there was a lot of tension between Native tribes and the general public. This was at a time when the government reaffirmed treaty rights. Previously, Native Americans were getting put in jail for exercising their treaty rights, and this was not okay. So their treaty rights were finally reaffirmed, and they were able to go and spearfish off reservation again in the ceded territories. And so this caused a lot of anger and there were some violent protests. People were trying to prevent tribal members from exercising their treaty rights. So in this level, we really wanted to combat a lot of the myths that are still prevalent about tribal spearfishing. There are still instances of tribal members being hurt when they're exercising their treaty rights. So yeah, the goal of this level is to combat some of those myths and give some education about like the history of the area, the history of spearfishing. So for game mechanics, the way that this is kind of put into like an interactive experience is you are going on a youth hunt, so you're learning about spearfishing, and you have up here there's a meter that shows like how many fish you've caught. You don't want to go over your limit because you have a bag limit, which is another important way that we are trying to break down myths about spearfishing in this level. A lot of people had previously believed that Native Americans were taking as many fish that they wanted, which is not true. So yeah, that's just one way that through gameplay we're able to break down these myths. And then in the final level, players can harvest wild rice. I switched up the control system a little bit in this level to better, they give a better experience of actually what harvesting wild rice is actually like. So you don't have to continuously hold a button to like run in this level. Instead, you can push a button that directs the mother in this level to push your boat when you're harvesting rice, and then the player can tap these two buttons on the side of a screen in the rhythm that mimics harvesting wild rice in real life. So yeah, overall this experience was really great. I got to combine education, like educating others with my game development experience, and that was super cool. And I also got to learn a little bit about my own heritage during the process. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Are there any questions? Hello?
Hi, I'm here. So I'll just warn you that there's like this delay, right? Like, so these, a lot of times in person, you'd have questions right away, but because we're on a stream, like, it'll take like a minute or so for, if people do have questions, for it to roll in. Scott asked a very important question that I have already asked you, which is, where do you go to play it?
Yes. I can post links in the Twitch chat or on Discord as well. There you can find it on itch.io by just searching like Glyphwick or Growing Up Ojibwe, and you can also find it on the Google Play Store for Android devices.
I'm just gonna go ahead and post the link in the chat if I can, which I already,
Cool.
because I have from a previous conversation. Although maybe not, it's not letting me post it, so maybe I'll post it in Discord instead. Yeah, I don't know why it's not letting me. It doesn't want me to post it. Oh, there we go. Okay, I was able to post it. I have a question. How long did you spend on this? So it was 2 summers, right? Were you the only person working on the game?
Yeah, so the way that development went was I was pretty much the sole developer of this project. I had a supervisor who is not a game developer. He is the director of the Public Information Office at Glyphwick, and he would kind of direct me on like what content he wanted in the game. I did some research using Glyphwick's existing publications to develop some content and to put it in the game. But yeah, so I was really the sole artist and coder on this project. The time spent on it was about 800 hours. Each summer, I spent 400 hours at the internship, and there were some other projects that I worked on a little bit, some activities that we did as interns. But overall, it was about 800 hours.
Per summer.
Like combined, so like
combined.
400 hours each summer.
Got it. Okay. Nice. Yeah, that's a good amount of time.
Yeah, thank you. And one thing I briefly touched on that I wanted to mention a little bit more is something that really helped me when working on this project was like the existing experience I had doing the activities like harvesting wild rice and making maple syrup. I'm actually gonna make some maple syrup this weekend too. It's that time of year, so that was a really cool experience to like get to make into like a gameplay experience.
Nice. There was another question. Was the internship specifically for creating content, or was it more open-ended and you did the game part of it? Game as part of it. Got it. Sorry. So, did you read it as well? I kind of mangled it. Or was it more open-ended and you did the game as part of the internship?
Yeah, so the internship was kind of open-ended. My official title was graphic design internship. Intern. And I did some other stuff like tweaking some posters and like making some graphics and stuff for like a newspaper. But the majority of the time I was working on this project. When I started out, we weren't too sure exactly what I would be doing. But my supervisor had kind of a vision for like he wanted me to do something to help Glyphic connect with the younger generation. And I was like, I'm a game designer, and this is what I would really like to do. And they were really cool with that and thought it was a good idea. So I got to work on this.
That's great. I went to the Glyphic website and I didn't see a link to it, and I feel like you should get on them about that.
I should get on them about that. Were you able to find the links? Did you have them from our emails?
Yeah, I mean, this was before I think I'd asked you, and then you told me. Although,
okay.
I'm not sure if that's true. I'm not sure which came first.
I should get on them.
Yeah, they have the book that it's like the art or some of it is from, but well, thanks so much for sharing this with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, awesome. I will move on then to our next presenter. And yes, let me just stop this. Thanks again. And I will find Matt somewhere in the world of Discord. Bear with me. All of you have no choice. I'm not like a huge Discord user. I don't even know if I'm friends with Matt. So Matt, if you could message me. It's like you're not in this list. Like you got to be in here somewhere. I hate how Discord does this. There we go. Yay. Oh, we're not friends. That's why. I sent you a friend request. You accepted my friend request. That's great. How can we start a chat thingy? There we go. I figured it out. Oh no! I missed a plug. Brock, when did you register? Because I looked at all the Plug My Thing people this afternoon. I post a link 32 minutes before. Yeah, I think that was probably after I checked. But maybe after the main talk, we can circle back around to a plug. But Matt is our main speaker. Is it gonna? No, it didn't. Hold on. I have to fix the layout. Give me a moment.
Can you hear me, Marty?
I can, and I think everyone else can as well.
Yay.
Say that again.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. The stream is hearing you, and your screen is live, but it's a black screen for me.
You don't want to see the black screen?
I mean, I just don't know if there's supposed to be anything else other than the black screen. That looks like more like a thing like I would expect to see. So I will let you take it away. Thanks so much.
Cool. So this was a project that we worked on with AIGA group, and there's a few other people who were involved with it. I'm gonna be terrible and not remember all of the names of everyone who was involved with it, but so kind of the main reason this came into existence is that, because of COVID, normally AIGA has their design camp at a retreat in Minnesota, and because of COVID-19, they were not able to actually have a live event. So we wanted to brainstorm and try and figure out a way to have like the feeling of the event, capture the essence of it, and then do it in a way where people could just like log in a web browser and access it from wherever they happen to be, home, or most likely their home, but could have been somewhere else. So we kind of like, we didn't have really a lot of any tech or anything built for this ahead of time. We just kind of like had a brainstorm and kind of thought of like what would the features be of this thing and how would it be the most convenient for people to access. So we kind of started dabbling with WebGL as one of the options that we were going to use to build this out. And we ended up using technically WebGL, but we ended up using Unity essentially to build out everything, and then use the WebAssembly export out of Unity to allow it to run just in the web browser, but be built using the toolchain within Unity. So prior to my talking with Marty about doing this talk, there was an event, a show called The Show from EdFed that happened recently, and this project was submitted to it, and it won two golds. So one for website-based app, and second for innovative use of interactive technology. So this is now the award-winning Camp Illuminate talk, not the just Camp Illuminate talk. So there is this video that kind of goes over what it was, basically. Kind of gives you a good gist. I'm going to play this. Hopefully it works over Twitch just fine. I'm not sure if my audio is going to play through. Marty, do you know? Will it automatically work, or do I need to do something? All right. Well, let me know if you hear audio. Otherwise, I can post the link for this, and people can take a look at it on their own also. So that was kind of just a quick overview of all various parts of it. The design retreat is usually held at a resort in Minnesota. So part of it's outside, and then you have like a big bonfire. Lots of places outside, basically for people to converse. And we kind of wanted to keep that vibe and kind of create a virtual version of that. So that was like a lot of the thought process that went into like some of the design and the features and functionality. What was I gonna say? So there was an agency in town, Christensen Creative, I think it was Christensen Creative, that had done the branding, kind of identity work and stuff for the event. And so we wanted to figure out a way to pull that look into 3D for this experience so that it would match the printed posters and kind of things that were going on. And this was a 40th anniversary event too, so we were trying to figure out some way to like make that a special element of what was going on. And so you can see like these are some of the woodlands creatures that were designed for the print designs, and we tried to like I said, bring those into the 3D versions as well and keep them with look as similar as we could to the illustrative look. It kind of led a lot of what was built on the content side. This is just a mood board that I think Nate at Pixel Farm put together, and it was just kind of like trying to establish like the general vibe that things would have, and little like vignettes of places that are in the content that you could stop and look at, and you could then talk to someone about it, or just enjoy it on your own, or whatever you happen to be doing in the content. So we kind of took that illustrative look, and we took like our mood boards. We tried to come up with a way, a version of that would kind of match the our vision of what we were trying to build. So I think these are mostly done by Annie at Pixel Farm. And so like, again, that kind of illustrative style that kind of played off a lot of the elements from the Christensen Creative's design. We decided to make the island the shape of the 4 and the 0. And when you're on the island, you can never see that. So there's actually a point where you can fly up into the sky and you can look down and you can see that the whole time you were there, that you're on this, 40th anniversary island, essentially. We wanted to have like a mythic creature as one of the vignettes in the content. So there's this giant turtle that's kind of below the water most of the time, and then there's an event that triggers when you get close on the edge of the dock, and it comes out. And there's like a full audio design that's set up so you can hear like the water being pulled away and just like the sounds of like a giant creature coming out of the water. We had some maps and icons and things to kind of direct people through, because there wasn't like a lot of direction. So we kind of like wanted it to be more about exploration. And so we kind of came up with like a visual language to describe, what's available to see and where you are currently. And then one of the things about this event too was like it's social. So there was like, there's some places to gather, and there was originally going to be a live DJ, but we did switch that over to a pre-recorded audio track. But so there's a forest bar essentially, and there's a Sasquatch DJ that is doing a set, and then you can pick up a drink off the bar and carry it around with you in the world and drink it, of course, virtually. So this is all built in Unity, obviously. Like I said before, we kind of went through all the traditional stages of things. Originally, it was all gray boxed, so there was just like blocking of where roads would be. There is like a cabin. You kind of start at the top of a mountain essentially, and work your way down to the beach, and then eventually to the forest, and then kind of into like a bluff area where there's a giant bonfire. And in the log cabin, there's actually an art gallery of all the 2D artwork from previous years' design design events, and so you can like interact with those, and they have like a pop-up that shows like a more detailed version and so forth. But so we kind of built through in stages, kind of iterating on, you know, making it more visually interesting. And once we had established like how it all fit together, because everything was built basically from scratch, so it was kind of, you know, an exploration to figure out all the things that would work and be interesting. There's some 3D versions of some of the animals, so they're spread throughout the content, and I think most of them are interactive. So like the turtles, you can click on them and they make like a, you know, like they make sounds and they kind of bounce around. And then there's various places where the deer are aware of your presence and they'll run away. You can chase after them. There's a rock bridge near one of the areas, and there's trout jumping over it. And there's a rabbit on your way down the mountain, and if you get near it, it runs away and it runs to the cabin. So we kind of use the characters, like the animals, as little interesting vignettes and to pull the visitors to different areas of the world. Because it was social, you know, obviously we had to network all this together. But we wanted to have social interaction as well. So we needed to figure out how to do like text chat, voice chat. The networking we used for this was Photon, because that happens to work really well with Unity, and it's fairly inexpensive. Doesn't require servers or anything. We did have to pay to have the size of audience that was going to go to this. We needed to have enough support for that many simultaneous users, so we did end up using a paid version of Photon. But and then we used Photon chat also for the text chat, and all that worked via the WebGL export or the WebAssembly export without any problems. The thing that didn't work was the voice chat. They have not yet. I checked the other day, and I think they still don't have official support for the WebGL export from Unity for voice chat. So that was one of the biggest, problems to solve with getting this whole thing to work in a way where it didn't require browser plugins or any kind of special software. We were considering doing a desktop build for Mac and Windows, but we kind of wanted to avoid it as much as possible. We didn't really want to rely on it because we didn't want people to have to install anything. But the voice chat actually caused some trouble, and I ended up actually a combination of a project that I found on GitHub that was a start of like a custom voice chat system, and then doing my own integration with Photon. And basically what it does is it has a push to talk button. And when you do that, it uses the web media API in the browser to access the microphone. And it basically records the audio to a WAV file and slices it up into packets and sends it out over Photon as network data. So it basically cheats and treats it like if it were any other kind of data on the networking, basically. And then it puts it back together on the client side. And that's bandwidth intensive, so that's one of the reasons we have a push to talk button. I think we had 10 users per room. That helped limit the amount of data that was being sent when people were talking. We had the room set to auto scale, so it would put 10 people in the bucket, and then when that bucket was full, it would create a new room and then assign the next group of people to that one. We did all the chat and voice global to the room, so you could just like talk to people regardless of where you were. We did have the idea of maybe making it so that it was based on proximity, but we thought because the world was so big that it would feel lonely if you couldn't just talk, to anyone and it gave you incentive then to figure out where they were if you started a conversation with someone. So it kind of had some benefits on top of that. We probably could have had like 20 people together, but we were just worried about scale, and if you were to hold down the voice record button and not let go, it could cause lots of problems if there was a big number of people in there. But for the time frame we did this in, which was insanely short, we had to, that was one of the corners that we chose to cut, and it ended up working perfectly. And it was definitely an interesting challenge to overcome. Hopefully someday they just build that in, because it would be nice, but the WebGL export from Unity literally just ignores, or they haven't officially implemented anything to do with microphones. So there currently is not a way to do that. So you have to implement that on your own, which is, you can use the JavaScript API and extend it to your code base and whatnot. It's not terrible, but it wasn't just something that worked for free out of the box. So then the other thing was that we wanted it to feel like a real place. So we did spend a bunch of time with the audio team at Pixel Farm, and they created soundscapes for all the different places or the different settings in the world. So you start out up in the trees, in like a mountain area, and there's like a whole soundscape. When you're down near the water areas, like where the beach is, there's like a whole set of sounds for that. And there's a whole set of sounds for this little event that leads up to the giant turtle appearing. So that kind of happened for like all the different parts of the world that you could explore. So like in the bar, there's like I said, there was the DJ set going on. Sound effects for picking up the drinks and drinking them. Up to like the giant bonfire. And there's like layers of atmosphere, like wind and different things. And of course, and that was kind of interesting too, because it was built on top of Unity's audio system, but the audio system for WebAssembly support, it has some limitations that you wouldn't have in a normal like desktop application or even like a mobile application or whatnot. We made the turtles interactive. So you can click on them, and they kind of just have like a little bit of animation and sound. And then all of these things were networked as well. So like when you would click the turtle, it'd make the sound, and then of course if anyone was near you, they would hear it and see it, because everything was all networked together. Same thing with like these crystals. We had like a cavern that you kind of go through. It's kind of like a windswept rocky cavern, and we're trying to figure out something interesting to put there, and we ended up choosing this like kind of crystal, and then it has an interaction on it that if you click it, it makes it like a chime, and it changes its color. So there's a bunch of these laying around, and you could like kind of color them all a specific color or whatever, and if you were again near other people, they could hear that you're interacting with the crystals. This I think is just like the beach, kind of just general ambience. And these are kind of built out so they'd all like seamlessly transition as you went through the world. So you could move around, and you would leave one area and enter another, and there were transitions for all the audio that were there. And then this, I think the last thing I just wanted to say was like this was kind of built over. I think it ended up being about 4.5 weeks. And we started planning in August. The actual event was in the first week of November. And I think we actually started development late September. So it was, everything. We started with nothing, and we built everything out, all the content, textures, 3D models, assets, everything, audio, and built it all within that to meet that deadline. So it's kind of crazy time frame. I do have the entire project in Unity, and I don't know if anyone's interested in taking a look at it. But that would be another option that I could do to kind of show off various bits and pieces of it. I could possibly also log into it and kind of run through from the first person perspective, show off some features. I don't know what you think, Marty.
I don't know. I would find that interesting, but I don't know how. I mean, without having anything prepared, like if you, I don't know if that seems too open-ended, or I don't know. It's up to you, really. You are the presenter. There was at least one question in chat if you want to answer some questions.
Sure.
It was just really about the turtle. Like why? Like
why turtles?
Was there a significance to the turtle? I think what did the turtle mean for the event was the specific question.
I don't know that there's an actual reason. The giant turtle or the little turtles. So we ended up filling the beach with all kinds of turtles. You can't really see it in that shot, but there's also there's broken trees near the shore, and there's little tiny turtles that are just like climbing around on the trees. So it's like the beach is just turtle infested, basically. And it was just something visual to put there for the most part. And then at the end, we were trying to put something interactive there. And so that's why the other turtles that you could click on ended up there. And it was like, because there was this giant turtle, this like mythical turtle that was there. So it was like the idea being that you were seeing all these little turtles, and then we were going to throw this giant turtle at you. It's just kind of an element of interest. We had the idea basically that it was like, again, it was like a mythical encounter, and it was going to be something that you could interact with. And we just didn't have time to do anything crazier than that with it. But the one of the concepts initially was to be able to play fetch with some kind of mythical creature at the beach. So there'd be something that you could like pick up and throw, and then it would like go grab it and bring it back. And it eventually became, it pretends it's an island, and then it just pops up and says hi. That's like an element.
Another question was there a level of like geometric complexity? Did you have to like hit? I think that's more about like
on the performance side.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
So it was running in the web, so there were limitations to how much geometry there could be. I don't even know what it was exactly at the end because it just happened to all work, and so we didn't really run into any problems. The WebGL export from Unity is a little weird. I believe it actually is the deferred renderer. So lighting is kind of like there's like we did bake a bunch of the lighting, but like the lighting that's in the bar area, the dance club area, and some of the other places is still real-time light. And there is like, I can show part of the video of it. It's like during this section here, the sky is all in real time. So there is a moon. There's a moon that rises, and as it gets darker, there's like a full like set of stars that come out There's like some volumetric fog, and
Was that on a loop then?
so what we did is we had it play. It actually started right at the edge of sunset, and then it became night. So that as you're coming down the mountain, you had like a little bit of a sunset, and it gave you a little bit of time before you got to the beach before the moon started to rise, and it would just basically play to like the halfway point of the sky, and then the moon would just stay in the center of the sky the rest of the time. But it was a full loop. It could have actually gone all the way back to sunrise, but we kind of wanted to keep everything in the night lighting. But that's all hooked up to a directional light as well, and so like the trees cast a shadow in the directional light, and there was like crepuscular rays through like the fog, and that all worked great on desktops, because that was our primary target was desktop, laptop computers running, WebGL. We didn't target phones or tablets or anything like that. So pretty much everything ran without a hitch. And so, we did model everything low poly. You can tell from the style it already lended itself to that, but it still ran really good. And then because it's using the deferred renderer, beyond a certain point, lights don't add a lot of overhead, at least simple lights, just like point lights and stuff. But we also did cheat some things in that it was just basically like colors that changed, and it made it feel like the lights were doing crazy things. Like the dance club is one where there's like rave lights, and it looks more complicated than it really is, because it's basically just effectively animating the emission or one of the colors essentially of the material, and a bunch of objects that are just instanced. So it kind of looks like the lights are doing crazy stuff, but it was pretty cheap in terms of performance.
Another question, can you describe how the rooms worked on the user side?
So what would happen was, I don't know if I have a good... So we did everything based on an initial login screen, which I don't have an image of, but you basically would log in. You had the opportunity to put in like a social media handle, like for Twitter or Instagram, and then that would link to your portfolio. And you can see that like under people's names. This was like one of our test runs, so there's like my name right there. And so then what it would do is it would just use the matchmaking functionality of Photon. Basically, it would just try to find an available room. If there was a room that existed that had an opening, it would just place the next person in. And if there wasn't any space in that room, it would just create another one. And so that was just an event lifecycle that we set up for Photon, where when you joined, it would just group people together in rooms based on first come, first serve. And so I think at one point we had like 40 rooms, something like that. And so you couldn't chat with everyone. You couldn't voice chat or text chat with everyone. You can only talk to the people who were in the particular room with you. But you could log on and log back in. You might get put in another room with a different group of people. So that was just kind of, and that's just kind of base functionality of Photon. There isn't really anything super complicated about that. Now you could have a lobby where, you could make a custom interface or a lobby, and you could like choose rooms or things like that. Or you could, if you knew the name of a room or the room ID, you could go to a specific room. And all that functionality was there. It's just we didn't expose any UI for it to the visitors because we wanted to just keep everything really simple.
Your development timeline was super fast. How big was your team?
So I should know that number off the top of my head, but it was I'm gonna have to count on my fingers. But it was like 3 to 4 designers, 2 developers, 2 audio engineers, project management, art director, least 2 3D modelers. Because we had some people who just did like textures and like just like concept art design for stuff, and then we had 3D team that built things out based on the illustrations that were built out. And then I think we went through 2 or 3 prototype versions of just like throwing in content and feeling out what looked and felt good based on what we were trying to get across. And then we threw all of that away and replaced it all with new stuff after the modelers. The modelers were able to go in and use that just as basically as a rough guide to fill it in with actual interesting looking stuff, not just like blocking.
Is that a pretty typical Pixel Farm workflow?
For interactive 3D, generally yes. So lots of do blocking, just because that way you don't build things you don't need. It's kind of like everything that you need at that point. You know that you have the thing that's not final product, but you know how you move through it and where are people going to be looking and where are you going to spend the effort to make something that's interesting to look at. So it's fairly typical.
Were all those people full-time?
During that period, I would say that it was at least on the development side and on the modeling side, it was pretty much full-time. It was, we always have other things that we're working on. So and clients have needs for certain things that might, take away from a project like this, but it was, probably like 30 to 40 people was what they were mostly doing during that period of time. And then, the rest of that time, people were working on multiple projects. So this was just one of the things that they were working on.
And then can you describe the avatars? Like, how did people appear to each other?
So the theme of this was like illumination. So, you're like a light source, essentially, wandering around in the world. And you can see a little bit of this. The avatars were like basically orbs. And so there were 10 different ones, and you got assigned one based on when you entered the room. So that way they were unique to the environment of the room, because there could only be one of each one, essentially. They left a motion trail as they went through the world. So if you were like up high looking down, you could see movement. That's kind of like a visual cue that there's where other people were. At the end, there's a giant bonfire, and we didn't even have to tell anyone to do it. It was the first impulse that everyone had. Is the first thing they did is jump in it. That happens to be a trigger that like flies you up into the air so that you can look down over the island and see that it's in the shape of the 4 and the 0. It was meant as sort of like an Easter egg kind of a thing, and it was just funny that if you give somebody a virtual body and throw them near a bonfire, the first thing that they do is jump in it. It was like pretty universal. You could also click on the fire and like fan it, and then it would kind of like fire embers would come out as like a particle effect. But most people jumped in it. And then when you're up in the air, when you look down, you can see all the other avatars wandering around. So that gives you another idea of where people are. And then when you choose the exit, being up in the sky, it would fly you down back to the ground, and you would leave a motion trail. So you look like a shooting star, essentially, to the people who are on the ground, just kind of looking up in the sky. So it's like another visual thing to kind of help create interest and have people kind of keep exploring the content.
Nice. Did you? I think I might have asked you this before, like not on the stream, but have like Photon is a project you can pay for. Do you know how much how much did it cost to run this for? It was just for a weekend, right?
Yep, it was just for like 2 days or something over the event. It is free but it's limited to a certain number of users. I think it's 20, 10 or 20, something like that. So you can build something and experiment with it, invite people into it and test it, but you can't actually deploy it to like a large group of people without paying. They also charge per photon thing you use. So like photon chat costs, X per user. Photon voice has a cost, and the photon networking side has a cost. So there's three different costs. In this case, we didn't have to use the voice one because it didn't actually work. And we just implemented using normal photon networking. So that was, save some money. I think it was, we were expecting around 400 people to try it out within a very short window. So we ended up paying for the tier, and I want to say it was like $100 for 500 users. I think that's the tier that we were at, and that would have been monthly. So we ended up, doing it for like several days, so we didn't have to worry about, doing it as a long-term thing. There is like I'm trying to think. There's a couple other options you have that are maybe that can work. We ended up not using just because of, their credit system or whatever it would have like maybe been about the same cost and we would have like a longer term, but we didn't need it. And that's like the Photon Plus or whatever. They have like a bundle that includes a certain amount of traffic within a window of time and up to a certain max number of users. But their pricing is really kind of complicated. So it all depends on what you're trying to do and what your volumes are.
Cool. Do you want to show us anything in the project, or you don't have to? it's up to you.
I mean,
Another question: did jumping in the bonfire become popular because people told each other to do it, or because seriously VR people just like to jump into items like that, or because people were trying to become one with the Illuminate motif?
I can't honestly tell you the exact answer. It did seem like when we tested it internally, it was actually my idea to make jumping in the fire do something. It was really going to just kill you. Like the screen was just going to go black, and it was just going to say, "Can't illuminate." And then we thought of, we wanted to have some way that existed to reveal that you're on this island that's made out of 4 to 0, because of the 40th anniversary. And so that became our mechanism. And we did try it. Like when we added the initial functionality, I showed it to like 2 people. And then we had like a group session where we had a bunch of people come in and we just like watched what would happen. And like the people who jumped in there weren't told about it. They just did it. So, and then they realized after the fact that there was a thing that happened and they thought it was cool. And I think that was generally the consensus of the people who actually tried it at the event as well, was that it was, I'm going to guess there were people who were told to do it as well, but there was definitely a bunch of people who it was just a thing that they decided to do, and then they got a reward for doing it. So it was kind of interesting.
Scott asks, who was the client, i.e., who paid for it and approved it?
So this was done as a partnership. So there wasn't money. It was just time exchanged for AIGA, and so they were open to whatever we could come up with. So we kind of like reach for the sky, I guess. Given we basically wanted to do a bunch of crazy stuff, and they were unsure that we'd be able to pull it off in the time frame, but we did.
Nice.
When we showed them the initial version of it with all the functionality, they were just kind of speechless. So it kind of was awesome, and it was really fun because we got to just use a bunch of creativity and just figure out sort of. We had all kinds of other more grand plans, but again, we just didn't have time to do half of what we wanted to do in that time frame.
What is AIGA again?
So that is what the hell is the acronym?
Yeah, I don't remember what it is either. It's a design group, right? Like it's
Yep. Can you see my screen here?
I don't know if I could read your screen, but I can see it.
So this is the Minnesota branch of AIGA. This is their website, and it is the. I don't even know. I've only ever called it AIGA. We've done other stuff for them. We did, I think a couple years ago, we did Luxonos. I don't know if you guys ever remember that.
Yeah.
But that was another partnership Pixel Farm thing. And that was in VR that time.
And this was another question. Are there any plans to expand voice possibilities? I don't really know what that means, but...
As far as... Yeah, I guess as far as what?
Just the possibilities. Expand them.
Well, like I said, it would be... I did a ton of research trying to find... I didn't have a ton of time to do custom development, so trying to find a voice system, voice chat that would work just in a web browser with no plugins. And
I'm amazed you got anything to work, frankly. That sounds horrific to me.
It was interesting. It's definitely a challenge. But
so I was unaware actually before this happened that the Unity browser plugin worked without a plugin. Like it used to have a plugin, right? Like you used to have to download a Unity I don't know.
So yes, about the time that Steve Jobs killed Flash, the Unity plugin also became a target because they just basically wanted to kill off all browser plugins, essentially. Because, yeah, you remember way back that there was actually an export for Flash from Unity. So you could run, Unity content via the Flash player in the browser. And so they kind of put some effort into building something that would use just regular web technologies. So there was a version that used just, assembly to JS essentially, and it would compile all the code from C, code into JavaScript. And the initial versions of that were terrible. It ran like crap. But it was interesting because you could do it, right? And we just were given the time frame that we had. I was initially thinking about trying to write it in WebGL, use 3JS and source whatever things we could find to build the content environment, to be able to load in the models and everything. And I just felt that it was going to take too long. So we did some experiments with the web export, and they were good. Like we had, it's one of those things where it was a little scary because there could always be lots of unknowns that may not actually function properly, but just did tests with baked lighting and did tests with networking and did tests with all the different pieces of it. And within like a week, we were able to confidently say it would work, and then it was just a matter of getting all the pieces in there. And so this is using WebAssembly. So the performance of that is quite a bit better than the initial kind of, converting, converting C# to C or C++ to assembly, and then just running that in the browser as a giant, mess of JavaScript. That sucks. This is a little bit better than that, but actually the performance is quite good. The voice is actually somewhat CPU intensive, so that was kind of one of the catalysts, one of the reasons why we ended up having a push to talk button. It initially had like a volume threshold that would just record all the time, so you could just talk then, which is what most people are used to from certain softwares. Like that's Discord works that way. You can use a talk button, but you don't have to. I did look into using Discord voice services as well, which was an option because that actually works really well using just pure web technologies. But we would have to integrate it into the room system. So I was like trying to figure out like how it would be like divide up into like Discord rooms and then, put people in rooms and like all that kind of stuff. And then it just ended up being too much work for maybe not being an actual viable option. So once I got the voice actually to record and play back, it was mostly there. So we just ended up going that route.
Nice. Well, it's an awesome looking project for sure. Thanks for talking about it.
Yeah, thanks.
I think we did have like one request to like see it running, but I don't even know if you were offering to do that. You were just offering to open up the project, right?
Well, I can maybe run it. Let me see. You see my screen?
I do, yeah.
Let's see if it'll run. I haven't logged in since January.
Welcome. It is very small in the center of your...
Yeah, 1 second.
Look at that. It looks so great. Is that a rabbit? It's the purple Easter bunny. I'm ruining the mood. So these are old, like, posters from previous years?
Yep, systems from 2007.
That's really
1981.
cool. That's neat.
And there's the one from this year, 2020.
Now, are you online right now? Like, is this hitting Photon?
Yep.
Cool. I mean, we should have had the meeting in this. I love the, like, firefly particles. Oh, nice. That looks so good. Now, were all these trees really modeled for this project?
These ones, yes. It's actually about 4 trees. They're just different scales.
Nice. Scott says this is better than Alt Space.
You hear all the audio?
Yeah, it's quiet, but we can hear it. Ooh, did you turn it up? Or are we just getting close to the camp? Like how it's kind of clear. It's like a transparent cup. What is that sign telling you to do?
Telling you where the bonfire is.
Got it. So is there... Oh, that's it. We're gonna see it. It's great. You can't jump off the cliff.
There's like a ton of colliders to prevent you from going certain places. Because otherwise you can get stuck pretty easily.
Sure.
And like the rock parts. But that's basically it. You can see like there's the sky. Like the moon and stuff turned out pretty good.
Looks great.
And of course, I'm here by myself, so it's slightly less awesome.
Well, you've got a bunch of watchers.
Got a bunch of people watching.
That's good. Yeah, that's super cool. That's so great. How many tracks did the DJs play? Is it like an hour of music, or like is it just one song over and over again?
It's actually, I think it's a 2-hour long set,
Okay.
and it's timed out based on when you start. So you can sit there for 2 hours and listen to like a whole, like, unique set of music and stuff. Because it was the intent was that people would be able to like hang out, right?
Yeah.
Sit in the space. So there's visuals and lights and things going on to kind of make it interesting.
That's great.
And humans provide the chaos. So
Well, fantastic project, and thanks so much for answering all the questions
yeah,
and showing the demo at the end. I think that was the highlight for me. So I think people wanted to see that.
yeah. I mean, it turned out pretty good. It's hard to look at it in videos and pictures,
Award-winning.
Award-winning.
All right. Well, Should we end it?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think we're good.
We'll be hanging out in Discord if anyone wants to hang out. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Eleanor. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. And have a good night.